So Hurricane Melissa just devastated Jamaica. While everyone is panicking about tourism in Jamaica, how tourism is dead, while the tourism stocks might be dead, we're asking a different question. Is this actually a buying opportunity? So today we're going to be breaking down every publicly traded tourism company on the JSE, how they make money, how badly were they damaged, and if we were forced to pick one, which one would we pick? So whether you're already invested or you've never bought a stock in your life, we're going to give you some information and then you can possibly make your decision using this. So yeah, hi Limit Breakers. My name is Matthew Preston and welcome to the Limitless podcast. Joining us as always is your co-host, Dr. Thaon Simms. Hail out the people, Thaon.
Hey guys, what's up?
And today, we will be talking about everyone's favorites. Well, not favorite now, but the tourism companies on the stock exchange. How are you feeling about this one, Thaon?
I think this one, I'm of like three different minds, but to simplify it, I think, there are quiet recoveries, there are opportunities abound and so on that might emerge from the quote unquote rubble, so, and I think there are some things that may not have much to do with Hurricane Melissa, but based on the timing, it still poses as an opportunity for a lot of these stocks. So I'm curious to see what this discussion today, like how we would, bring forth the points that we individually research and so on, because I do still think there are some gems. A lot of people have written them off, and you can see it based on how the stocks have been performing. And when we talk tourism stocks, I'm thinking stocks like Dolphin Cove. I'm thinking like Express Catering Limited. I'm thinking maybe even stocks like CPJ and AS Bryden and so on. So yeah, I don't know if I'm missing any stocks that you want us to talk about.
Well, I have a list here. So you mentioned Dolphin Cove. They run the Dolphin Cove attractions in Jamaica, in the different areas of Jamaica, like St. Anne, Hanover, or whatever. Then you said Express Catering. They run the food courts in the Montego Bay Airport. So whenever people pass through that airport, they're basically paying express and stuff. All the expensive, like when you're complaining about how expensive the food is, they're the reason why they're making money from that. Ones, I mean, there's some that are like directly tourism, but then there's some that I think are like, it's weird because Jamaica on a whole is a tourism, like tourism is the biggest part of how we make money, like our biggest revenue or sales or whatever. So technically if tourism is impacted by the hurricane, by the damaged hotels and those stuff, then it's going to end up impacting, almost any company. So it's not like technically you could say, oh, all the companies are going to be really somehow, even some are going to be more strongly, some are less strongly. But like I was thinking, I think one that you had mentioned before, Jamaica Fiberglass Producers, or JFP, they basically manufacture and make a lot of the things like chairs and designing and things like that. So like at a hotel, some of the different hotels, like even like the S Hotel in Kingston and other hotels, the furniture, the things on the walls, the design to make it look pretty, and the foreigners like to say, hey man, I like Jamaica, man. Yes, they do that.
That was so bad, but yeah. That was
it was
terrible,
meant to be.
But yeah.
It was meant to be. And then
but they do that
I was
a
even
lot
thinking,
in the tourism industry. You're right.
Yeah, so like they mentioned that hotels are a big customer for them. So even though directly everyone might not say, oh, they're a tourism stock, that was a big part of it. I remember even they were talking about how that was something that they wanted to push into more. And if you look at, and it makes sense because like, okay, there's some huge hotels being developed and stuff, and these are legit worth millions and millions of US. If they even get a piece of one of those contracts, that's a big deal for a company their size.
That's very true.
I was thinking them. I was even thinking you mentioned CPJ, Caribbean Producers Jamaica. They do a lot of like food and wines and stuff like that. So they sell a lot of foods, frozen meats and those kind of stuff, sausages, fruits, or all kind of different liquor, wine, alcohol, just all that different alcohols or whatever. They sell that to a lot of the hotels. And then if a lot of the hotels are damaged and they used to buy from CPJ, they could make less money. And then AS Bryden does a lot of those similar stuff, but then they own CPJ, so they are going to be hit from that. And then Seprad owns AS Bryden, who owns CPJ, so even Seprad is a tourism affiliated stock. Yes, it's I guess less of their revenue and stuff, but still affected. You mentioned, I was mentioning Everything Fresh, eFresh. They do a lot of like food. Same thing with a CPJ basically, but I guess, or I view them as the same as CPJ, but just on a smaller scale. But they do a lot of those foods and fruits. I mean, like even in the supermarket, you know, you can get there. They sell like frozen fruits and stuff like that.
Yeah, I buy from them every now and again, Everything Fresh. But I know they have huge customers in tourism, in the tourism industry.
So they sell like foods and breads and liquor, all those stuff. With Cinco also, I guess. You know, think like they have a lot of products that they sell to the
hotels. Yeah, when I go inside
hotels.
certain hotels, I do get
Coca-Cola,
some of their
water.
some of their products in the fridge.
Yeah. So I mean, they're quite a big company, so I don't think the hit on their sales would be that as bad as that. And even like Nutsford Express, KEX, that tickers, they deal with the tourism industry and stuff like that. Yeah, they do local stuff too, but some of their buses that go across the island, they have partnerships sometimes with the hotels to like pick up people at the hotel or whatnot. So, if the hotels are damaged, they can get hit there. So there's a lot. I was even thinking Jamaica Broilers. Jamaica Broilers, JBG, Best Dressed Chicken, they sell a lot of their chicken and products to the hotels. Tourists like jerk chicken, bro.
Yeah,
they like jerk chicken. So,
and their eggs. Although I feel like a lot of the eggs, I actually see them breaking eggs, so that's different. Like, how you can have is it I don't know if it's dehydrated eggs or so on. It's like you can store eggs by I think dehydrating them and turning them into powder. And I don't know if it's like just add water or something like that. But I haven't seen that in a long time. So at hotels, I actually do see them break the actual eggs. So yeah, that's also could be JBG or Caribbean Broilers. But yeah, yeah. I mean, you're right. There are a lot of companies that indirectly are involved in tourism or have customers. Sorry, within the tourism industry. But
I think of all the loan companies too. Not any bank or microfinance company. They're lending money to tourism companies. So, yeah. But I think we're more looking at the more strongly correlated ones.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The ones that have that closer tie to the tourism industry. I don't know. Is there a particular one you had in mind that you want to talk about?
I mean, I was looking down the list. Let me see. Which one has? Can I talk about like Dolphin Cove? Okay. Just to start. Yeah, so I think let's see what price Dolphin Cove today is. Well, yeah, the time of recording, this is $11.88. So let's call that $12. What I was looking for was to see when the companies drop their financials every quarter or 4 times a year. I was trying to look to say, okay, how would some of these companies mention things like Hurricane Melissa, like how what happened to them, and like any disclosures. So I can probably pull up Dolphin Cove's report. They did mention it. There were some that I saw didn't mention stuff, which I was a bit disappointed with. So, for example, there's this report. So this is a report up to September the 30th. So this would have been July, August, September 2025. And then Hurricane Melissa was end of October, right? Remember the exact day?
The 28th.
This is something saying made landfall the 28th of October. Yeah. So this was before the hurricane. They actually had a pretty decent quarter. They said their sales they did 3.5 mil US in sales, which was 9% more than last year for the quarter. And they were profitable. They made about 500K US versus last year they made about 200K US. So the profits increased by 152%. They did mention good stuff like, visitor arrivals were doing pretty well. And they did nice. I was happy that they did at least say something about, well, see, this is saying it struck Jamaica October 25th. And they say temporarily disrupted the Dolphin Cove's operations. They actually had to relocate the animals. And I think they had to do that for burial. Like apparently they move it to a hotel and stuff like that. They move the dolphins to hotels and put it in the pools and stuff. They actually said that they lost some dolphins. They said 2 dolphins were lost during the aftermath, a calf and 1 adult, which is sad. But
Wow.
luckily, they say all others have returned safely. The only thing I would be concerned about is I know that sometimes for animals, or just like people, I'm sure the going through that experience was traumatic for the dolphins, and I know that sometimes that can affect animals and just people, just like us. They're So, for
Yeah,
example, I know
that's
like
true.
with cows and chickens, you can have a chicken survive a hurricane. Like, it's not physically damaged, but it's just maybe the noise and the wind and other stuff. It's almost like it can traumatize them, and they just can't really make as much eggs, or the equivalent with like a cow, they can't make as much milk.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'd want to see
Some
how,
animals
like,
just literally die from the stress, though.
yeah, I
Of
don't
like,
know
yeah, I'm not a vet, so I
how
don't
do
I don't really know.
dolphins handle stress. Yeah, I guess you
You
could.
know, somebody said dolphins are like they're not they're not good animals, like in terms of like in the
Hmm.
ocean. It's almost as if they're, I don't want to use that word, I can't find a better word. But yeah, um
But
but
yeah,
they're
like
cute.
they mentioned, yeah. They mentioned that the
Yeah.
parks were closed, so they're in the next report, which would be released. This is their quarter 3.
Mm-hmm.
You would see they likely would, well, a bit of full year that they'd released, but yeah, they said their parks were closed from October 25th when the hurricane to November 10th. So that's almost 2 weeks or so. And they say Ocho, Rios, and
Basically.
Yaman reopened November 11th. So now some of them were closed for a bit longer. And the Grill and Moon Palace scheduled to resume full operations by December 5th. So say that means at the time of recording, they possibly aren't open yet. So that's going to
Yeah.
be some dip in revenues, but some good stuff. They said the restoration costs of about $300K US are fully insured. So it's good that they have insurance. And the company maintains adequate resources to manage short-term cash flow effects. Full recovery and return to normal visitor levels are expected by mid-December as the tourism sector stabilizes. So I guess we could probably actually track to see how the arrivals have, like, how many people, like, have we started to have, I guess, a rebound after that dip. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, for them, the interesting part is that the owner of Dolphin Cove, or the majority owner, they're going like through some tough times with the bankruptcy and stuff like that. So they are to actually be selling. I remember there was a post. This was PR Newswire. This is September 16th. So this was pre.
Yeah, I feel like we spoke about this on our podcast on this channel, about Dolphin Cove and the parent company selling or going through bankruptcy issues and wanting to possibly sell. I feel like we spoke about it in an episode. Do you remember the episode?
No. But we can talk about some of it here, because this is basically saying that the owner of about, well, just under 80% of Dolphin Cove, 79.99%, is basically putting the company up for sale. So this was filed September the 16th, 2025. I'm guessing maybe Melissa could have had some delays for it. They actually even put, you don't think we should email them? Like, they say here, World of Dolphins asked that parties interested in purchasing some or all of its 79.99% stake in Dolphin Cove, please reach out. And they dropped the emails, yo. I was even looking up the company, Green Hill. It's apparently like a really big company, like millions and millions of US. It's been around for like almost 30 years or something. And they said, if you do that, you'd have to sign non-disclosure agreements. You get data room access, which I think is like the financials and stuff like that. And they said, including a detailed timeline for the sale process. You don't know any like millionaires or billionaires you want to call up?
I was actually thinking to just dip into the Limitless fund and see what we can scrounge up to buy this company.
I did send them my email still.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I never got a response though. I need to add more zeros, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Trying to remember the date I sent the email.
They're really not serious about us buying. But let us know in the comments, guys, if you think Limitless should buy Dolphin Cove.
I sent it
I think
November 7th. Yeah.
I mean, but we'd have to send in like it would have to be a takeover bid, because his control would go for. Nothing less than control.
You don't think that, imagine
right?
if you could buy before, so you buy the shares, you say, okay, that's all the money I'm going to put in this, and then you send the email to them, and then they give you the information. If your offer was, I guess, convincing enough, depending on how they want to do it, if it's everyone in one or just piece or whatever. But I feel like they're not going to want to do too many pieces though, so you'd have to be like a somewhat of a large enough size.
Yeah.
And then you could get, they're saying, include detailed timeline for the sale process. You could then understand, okay, even if I'm the person who isn't going to get it, then, this time period, it could be, say 3 months, 6 months or something like that. I was looking into some, so this is, I guess, more lawyer stuff. I guess a lawyer would probably be better at this, but from what I understand, I saw, I think somewhat of a rough timeline could be about 3 to 6 months. So then if this is mid-September, mid-October, mid-November, mid-December is 3 months, which is what we're just at. And then January, February, March, by mid-March or so. But there's like some different stages. I was looking it up in the process. But yeah, I don't know. I did find it interesting because I do think there will be demand for it, because if you look at the price, it's probably trading at, I think it's like at $12. The company is worth, I think it's like 30 mil US. They have properties that they own worth more than that. So if that they've said
true.
that they're going to be selling. So
you know what's also interesting is, like, even if we as Limitless don't buy it, like, I think about other entities that would buy it, because this is it's a good company. They're very profitable. You just showed that, quarter over quarter is 152% increase in profits. And then they pay dividends and so on. So when I think about it, would a new owner actually be good for Dolphin Cove? Like, suppose you think of another owner that has some, other strategic partnership. Like right now, Dolphin Cove also operates, they have that dolphin section within Moon Palace. Suppose a hotel chain buys it and says, all right, we're going to just, invest more capital into into Dolphin Cove. And I don't know, you could grow it significantly and say, all right, we're going to expand Dolphin Cove specifically, because World of Dolphins, or I think it's Dolphin Discovery, or whatever the parent company's name is, right? They're the ones that have a bunch of different dolphin coves all over the world, in different countries. But Dolphin Cove, which is the Jamaican entity, is just really and truly, I mean, yeah, there are other pieces, but there are other like parks and so on, but that's just in Jamaica, really. But imagine now a more regional expansion of Dolphin Cove, going into different hotel chains throughout the Caribbean or across the world, right? And they say, all right, let's just open up another flagship, amusement park or so on, or put it in like in different, like, there's so much more you can do with this company, and it's listed, so it's also pretty attractive. So I'm looking forward to see whoever buys it. I think the ownership change can do a lot for the company, a lot for our local Dolphin Cove company. So we'll see. Another point I had with Dolphin Cove though was the port. Did you know the Ocho Rios port was closed for a bit because and we mentioned it in a few episodes before, but there was a ship, I believe, that hits the port, that dock, in Ocho Rios. Let me see if I can find the Or Today article and send it to you. I remember seeing it. But yeah, it's been damaged from, I think, last year. And how do I even send this in the? Oh, I just realized. Yes, it was damaged last year, right? And recently, I think even up to November 11th. This is a Or Today article. And this picture was taken November 11th, where Carnival Corporation's Holland America actually docked at the Ocho Rios cruise port in Saint Anne. It was the first time since it was damaged in 2024,
No, so it's
February
over a year.
2024. Yeah, but the timing is insane because this dock just reopened in November 12th. So it's like right after Hurricane Melissa. So you'd think that, because a lot of the northern and western sides of the island were damaged, but here is the whole the cruise, the Ocho Rios cruise port reopening. It's been almost 2 years, and hey, it's reopened now.
Yeah, well.
And the thing with Dolphin Cove is a lot of their customers come off of the cruise. So to me, that signals a lot of positivity for the company. Like, okay, if you have a lot of cruise customers or so on, or tourists on cruises, if they come in, and then immediately you get a loss of revenues because the port no longer is operational, but you're still printing money, you're still making a lot of profits, your revenues are still good, and so on. And then now, and of course, the flights have been increasing steadily to Montego Bay and in Kingston, but mainly Montego Bay. So you're still getting tourist arrivals via the flights. But if now that port is fixed and you can take in a lot more and bigger cruise lines and so on, I'm thinking this signals really good opportunity for Dolphin Cove. So it's another thing I'm looking at with the company.
They addressed it in their financials last year. So this is in the quarter the same. Because you said it happened February 2024. This is the financials that covered January to February, March last year, 2024. And it did say that the unusual severe weather caused damages in several properties across the North Coast, including the cruise ship pier in Ocho Rios. And they said that according to the Port Authority, it will remain closed at least for the next 6 months. And I think it was almost, 20 months. And then they said they had to work on different strategies for other sale channels to minimize the effect. Yeah, so hopefully, yeah.
And I mean, even just generally with tourism, there are over, I think, 1,000 new rooms that Edmund Bartlett said that would have been added this year, 2025. That fuels future arrivals. Although I have been seeing some hotels closing though, like the Grand Bahia, I think, is closing now because of Hurricane Melissa, and the damages sustained. I think there are a few other, maybe one or two others that I've seen that either are closing permanently or temporarily or so on. But yes, there is that fallout. But the addition of new rooms just means more capacity, which means if you can take more tourists and flights are increasing and so on, hey, that's more money. So yeah, I mean, let's see. I think Dolphin Cove is definitely one of those companies that a lot of people aren't looking at too much right now, and the stock price is at kind of a low if you look on it. Like, it hasn't been.
It could always go lower.
It could go lower. That's true. It could definitely go lower. When was the last time it got to here? This $11, November 5th of this year, and it's kind of been meandering around there. But what's $12 to $15 or to $14? 12 upon 12, 1 upon 6. That's shy of 20%. It's like 18. Okay. Opportunity still.
I think one of the interesting parts that I was looking at some of the other ones that for the other companies. CPJ, I don't think I saw them mention Melissa. Or no, they did. They did. I was just putting up their report too. Is there any data on, you think, how many hotels have closed down?
There should be. There should be some data.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, like, you mentioned that some of them have closed down.
I'm looking at some now. So they said you have major all-inclusive brands that have closed. I'm seeing Sandals Mobe, Sandals Royal Caribbean, Sandals South Coast. Yeah, Sandals South Coast. I've seen it. Yeah. They're closed, not expected to reopen until around late May 2026. Then you have the Hyatt Inclusive Collection, and that's like Breathless Mobe, Dreams, Rose Hall, Hyatt Zilara, Rose Hall, Secrets, etc.
No, this is the article. Closed hotels set timelines for reopening after hurricane. Agree in the article?
I'm seeing, yeah. And even from Tourism Analytics, I'm seeing some stuff from Tourism Analytics as well. I like that website. If you guys looking at that website for stuff, tourismanalytics.com.
I guess I was just trying to think how, like, it's, so yes, we said things like CPJ, Everything Fresh, they do a lot of the food and drinks and stuff to the hotels. I guess I'm just wondering, okay, was it their home, like, yeah, like the sort of hotels that were closed down either temporarily or permanently, was CPJ a big supplier of their products? So, like, how much business do you think they're actually going to, I guess, lose from it?
I mean, I'm pretty sure there might be a way to extract to get that data. But I would look for the major ones, because then there are smaller hotels and boutiques that have closed as well, Evening the Grill and so on.
And they would get products from them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be the major ones I'm looking at. Like Bahia Principe is huge. That's a very big hotel.
I guess I'm just thinking how, because I was looking at this article, closed hotels set timelines for reopening after hurricane, and then it goes into some of the specific hotels that they say, Rio Negril is scheduled to reopen November 15th, Rio Reggae, Montego Bay, November 20th, Rio Palace, Aquarel, December 15th. Because I think CPJ hasn't reported, the most recent report is the September one, which is pre the hurricane. So then, I was looking at what the disclosure that they made. Yeah, so the situation on the ground remains fluid, but there's no doubt that the hurricane will negatively affect Q4 performance. However, we are confident in the resilience of our partners, of our people, and of our country, and we anticipate recovering Q1 2026, so that'll be January to March next year. Yeah, so I guess that'll be interesting. So could it be that, do you think, I'm wondering, like, how bad is bad when they say that? Because this quarter that they had for the September, how good was it? Let me see. Was it profitable? It was actually a loss. Wow, look at that. They lost $1 million US. The revenues were up significantly, but their costs went up a lot. So they couldn't really contain their costs. And yeah, they lost $1 million US. The other quarters before that were profitable. So it's like, okay, even in a time where even before the major hurricane and stuff. Yeah, without the major hurricane and stuff, they weren't profitable. And it was actually a loss than last year, because last year it was only $80,000 US in loss, and then now it's $1 million US in loss. So it's like, I guess it would be interesting to see, like, what if it's even like $1 million loss again, or a $2 million loss or something, Yeah. And then I guess it would be interesting to see, okay, how would the market like react negatively to that? And so, it's selling at what price is CPJ now? CPJ now is $7.32. It's actually on a downtrend over the last year or so. It was coming from a high of like $10, around $8, and it's now $7. It'd be interesting to see like how how
What's that loss though? I remember them reinvesting to like scale up and stuff like that. And then they had operating expenses I know was high. I think it's because it's increased like staffing and overtime. It was to support some new projects and things like that. And then they have like even when you look at their cash reserves, I know that dropped. And so on. Like there was a lot because they were spending on I think a manufacturing plant, upgrading some plant. Let me see if I can find that article. I remember there was some plant that they were upgrading that was mentioned in the Gleaner. Because I know they've been in expansion mode basically, from my understanding. So it's more for like capacity, launching products. They were doing a bunch of different things, and then they acquired AS Bryden, which, as we know, AS Bryden is the Trinidad and Tobago.
Wait, you said they what?
Sorry. Yeah, you're right. AS Bryden acquired a stake, the majority stake in CPJ. My bad. And AS Bryden was it's changed ownership. They're like a distribution giant. They're like I was gonna say like Separate in Jamaica. Funny how Separate owns them, but yeah, yeah, they're massive too, as well. Very similar to CPJ in terms of the types of products too, like even wines and spirits and so on.
I think what they're saying is that the higher costs or things like their enterprise resource planning or ERP implementation, which is like a system to help them handle their logistics or distribution or whatever better. Fleet expansions, I guess they're buying more trucks and stuff like that. Cold chain infrastructure, I think there's like freezers and stuff like that. And they say warehouse upgrades, so they had to be spending. I guess they're trying to spend a lot, and it sucks because they were probably spending that money anticipating a really good Christmas quarter, and then this happened, which may impact that because some of the hotels and stuff. They say operational inefficiencies, inventory management, logistics, credit management, and wage overheads.
Those don't sound good at all.
We said change. Interesting.
You're right. I'm here looking at this article.
Oh, wait. I think I read the... Oh, wait. Did they flip? I think I actually read it wrong. No. Where did I? No, this is saying... Hold on. Because I thought they made it seem like they... Modest... Could this say net performance resulted in a modest loss of 0.08 million US, an improvement from the 1 million US loss recorded in Q3
of last year.
But isn't this here? This is saying 3 months, September 2025. Loss. Oh. What? I'm not reading this wrong. What?
You're not reading it wrong.
This says September 2025. Attributable to shareholders of the companies. This is saying 700K loss for September 2025. And it's saying for September 2024. Okay.
I'm not sure of that discrepancy. It's funny how we find these things while we're recording. Yeah, CPJ. We need some answers for that. Unless I don't see how we're reading it wrong because it's right in front of us. But yeah, like I was even looking at this article I just sent you. I forgot about Cartel and Angostura Holdings. The company. So this is an article that says this was published August 20th of this year. Sales up but cash dips as CPJ reinvests in plant. So they're basically saying the sales are up but profits dipped reflecting elevated operating costs. And the company attributed their revenue growth to stronger sales in the large resorts segment. So, they're heavily tied to tourism and key areas of the fast food service channel, as well as the highly successful launch of Street Vibes, right? And a 150% expansion in its spirits portfolio through its partnership with Angostura Holdings. And, Angostura Holdings and so on, they're the ones that produce Cartel's liquor. So Street Vibes is a new rum
Have
launched
you
by
had it?
Entertainment. I've had Fevo. It's decent, It's decent as a white rum. There are other spirits in the line I have not tried, but I've had Fevo. Big up Jade. But yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
bro. Like I don't
My
know.
thing is,
I think
I always was like when I was comparing CPJ to Everything Fresh, I view them as pretty similar business models, and I was always like, hey, if my thesis is hey that the tourism industry is gonna do well, and I think the same hotels and stuff, a lot of people are gonna be coming to the hotels, buying the foods, eating the food, drink, all that stuff. Then I was thinking more Everything Fresh. When I looked at it, Everything Fresh I thought was a much smaller company, and I thought like for them it's just easy for them to get like a small. It's easier to move the needle, I guess, for them. Like they could say secure. If you look at the size of like Everything Fresh and like their revenues or whatever, it's like they could just secure a new contract with a hotel, and that could be worth like $1 million US, and that's a big deal for them. Versus CPJ, it's like even if they make $1 million US, we just show that CPJ has revenues of how much? For a quarter, they do almost 60 million US revenue. So even if they get a 1 million US contract, that's like, that's not a big deal. Yeah. Let me see how Everything Fresh is doing. I think their most recent reports. Have you ever looked at them?
Yeah, I've looked at them maybe a long time ago.
Let me pull it
I
up.
haven't looked at them recently.
So right now we are recording this.
I feel like I looked at them this year.
Stock price is $2. Oh, it's coming up from over the last year. It was. Let me look at the reports. So yeah, they. Cause say look at their revenues. They do CPJ does 60 mil US. Everything Fresh does. Wait, no, this is Jamaican. This is saying $1 billion Jamaican, which is like 6 mil US or so. So 6 mil US revenue for a quarter versus 10 times the size. They actually had a profitable quarter. They made 19 million US 19 million Jamaican versus 5 mil. Yeah, look at that. That means profits almost 4x. And they're doing better for the 9-month period compared to last year. They did like 100. I don't know. I feel like I'd probably buy them over CPJ still.
Maybe.
I was reading into them at one point. Like I saw they were doing some stuff. They were pushing, I think, is Bahamas or St. Lucia or something. They were talking
I'm just
about
wondering
that.
if they're the ones. I was trying to remember. There was a thing with either Everything Fresh or ECL that I really liked, but I don't know if it was one of the owners. Like how we always look into like the top 10, and it's one of the owners I didn't really. I wasn't comfortable owning the stock while they owned the stock. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna have to look in the top 10 to see. For both companies.
Hold on, let me see this. So their report, Everything Fresh's latest report came out post the hurricane. So this was November 12th. And they say, we remain resolute and optimistic. We'll deliver our growth and profitability targets for the year. Interesting. As we have done in the past, we will remain agile and proactive, taking measures to counter, minimize, and mitigate any negative impacts. Oh, interesting. I don't even see them mention. Did they mention Melissa in this? I don't think so. Interesting. You don't find that
Okay.
interesting?
Yeah. It's such a tightly held stock, though. The top owners own 93%. Top 10 owns 93%.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 94% of the stock. Very, very
Mm-hmm.
tightly held stock.
I think they had a
And then I'm
shareholder meeting
seeing,
recently.
yeah, I'm seeing Pam Pool Equity Fund buying more. There's 1.8 million shares in the quarter. And they're its second in terms of top 10.
Oh, there was an article, I think, I think this was from the shareholder meeting. I don't think they would be the time Gleaner is taking a while to load. And what's good for them is that for them and I guess CPJ, they were both pushing to, because they earn money from basically tourism, but they also were pushing into the retail side, so like supermarket sales and those kind of stuff, sort of local sales. So hey, it's not just foreigners eating the products at the hotels; they're also Jamaican. So that's why, for example, I was seeing them in the supermarket with the frozen fruits and those things.
Yeah.
So it says, so this is an article, this came out November 7th. Food distributor, Everything Fresh, confirmed that its operations are intact post-hurricane. Its plant at Bogwalk, St. Catherine has to be operating on generator power. So they probably have some higher costs there compared to like JPS. They said there has been no cold chain issue whatsoever. Therefore, no spoilage and cost containment has been good. Oh, interesting.
Nice.
That's good. Very efficient plant at Bogwalk. Yeah, so AGM on Monday. Okay, so they're lucky they weren't heavily damaged. I want to see how the Bahamas is there where they do their other stuff. Operations in Jamaica and Bahamas. Let me see. Execution and quality, capital investments. Plant upgrades. Most expenditures you see are actually as a result of upgrades and infrastructure improvements, increase our storage capacity. So I guess they're buying more freezer space and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then they say, interesting. Yeah, see, they said, luckily for us during COVID, we rebalanced our portfolio, no longer largely reliant on the tourism sector for the bulk of our income. Retail customers,
Very
supermarkets,
smart.
restaurants, end users. Nice. So even if we have a substantial fallout from the tourism sector, we're not expecting to fall into losses. Okay.
Okay.
Interesting. Yes, so they may not have been as severely affected.
Smart by Everything Fresh to diversify your consumer base. Very, very smart. I love to see that in my companies. And I buy some of their products. Like I actually really do enjoy a lot of their products. I sell like grapes and so on. And they're affordable.
So they import, the grapes are imported?
I believe so, yes.
Oh,
I think so. Don't
seedless
quote me on
grapes?
that, though. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Never had their grapes before. I've seen the fruits. I think
I've had their kiwi. They've had they sell a lot of fruits, man. Like even cherries. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, bro.
Nice. So underground research.
On-the-ground research. Quality products. Everything is fresh. But okay.
Others you're looking at?
You were talking about even Express Catering Limited. And the thing with Express, as I guess Preston gave an overview of a lot of the stocks at the start, but they operate food and beverage outlets at Mobe's airport, Sangster's International Airport. And so that to me is more a direct correlation of air passenger traffic. The amount of people that take flights and so on, especially at that location, Montego Bay, not Norma Manley. So it's a good way to view passenger traffic. And I was thinking of how does Express actually make money, and how do you get more people to spend at Express Catering? So it's either you have more outlets for food for different people to stop at and so on. flight delays maybe, and people have to sit down and you get hungry, buy food and things like that. Just more flights overall, more passenger traffic. But then, you know, a good measure was COVID, because when you look back at COVID, there was a big fallout for express catering because no one was doing air travel basically. I was ground to a halt, and a very similar thing happened with Hurricane Melissa. Right? So, and Ian Dare, he's a CEO. In fact, before there was an article that I read where he said, there's no evidence of any slowdown in the tourism sector. This was like right before Melissa, and so when you think about tourism numbers, and you can look at it, we have different websites that we look at to see what flight numbers are looking like. You can Google them, and so on. And they were growing, like they grow year on year. Edmund Bartlett, as we always say, me and Preston always say, hardest working minister. 1,000 new hotel rooms in Jamaica and those kind of things. But then MBJ Airport was actually, I'm going to say MBJ, that's Montego Bay, Jamaica Airport, that was shut down for several days. So once you shut that down, that's a lost revenue time for express catering. So, and then it got some storm damage, the actual airport itself. And then for a while, it took some time for passenger movement to, increase and those kind of things. And then I was looking at tourism analytics. I don't know if I can share this. I'm going to share this with you, Preston. But tourism analytics was basically saying that, in October, passenger movements fell around 18% year over year. And then November, of course, was worse because many flights were either canceled. Because, if you're a tourist, you may not want to come to Jamaica right after a Category 5 hurricane. And I get it. I'm not going to cuss or anything. It makes sense. So a lot of people might have canceled flights. Tourists couldn't stay at damaged resorts. I get it, so the passenger volume for November would have dropped significantly.
Whoa.
So
73%.
Yeah, lower than November 2024.
Whoa.
It's a massive hit to express catering, in my opinion. So that quarter, I don't think will look that great for them. I definitely don't think it would look that great. Yeah, 73% is a huge drop off in terms of tourist arrivals. So imagine revenues dropping by that amount. That would be crazy. And granted, it's just in that month, and that's 1 month in an entire quarter, 18% for October. But you can kind of extrapolate what that would look like. And then even December, I don't expect December's numbers to be that massive as well because of the hesitancy, the apprehension with booking flights to Jamaica and so on by some people. So, yeah, in short, for me, the hit might be a bit short term. I don't think it's like a massive hit. So, if you were an astute investor, you could just wait for the resumption of full flight operations and all of that. Then buy into when the stock price would have dipped or is gonna dip or so on, or anticipate the dip, and just hope that everything will normalize by 2026. Which
I like the hope.
Yeah, I don't like the hope, but by winter time 2026, that winter, those winter months, yeah. How much worse can it get, right? Knock on wood. After knock on wood.
It's not like, I don't think the price has really reacted to the hurricane and stuff though for express. The hurricane was end of October. It was like $3. Now it's like $2.89. So it's not like, it's been one of those that has dropped significantly. I'd have preferred a more of a reaction, or more of a negative reaction if I was to look to it. Like Dolphin Cove, I think, had a bit of a dip. I say October 24th, it was like 13.87. Now it's like 11.88. So how much is that? Like 10-15% or something?
Yeah, You're right. The price hasn't taken a massive dip, indeed.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see when the financials come out, because the market likes to react to poor financials.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I know they've been focusing on improving their operations and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So they have like a nice reduction in when you look at the cost of goods sold line and so on
Mm-hmm. There was
and so
some
on.
stuff
So
they were doing though that I did like.
yeah, they were trying to
There
boost the
was
profit margins.
something about them pushing into, what do you call it, to do more restaurants outside of the airports, and I guess that would have been nice if they had done that, I guess, before this possibly. So I think they were actually planning to bring Cinnabon to Jamaica. And if you've ever, I know Cinnabon is
So
like a pretty,
yeah, I like Cinnabon.
Yeah. So I remember they were talking about this from like, I saw this like maybe 2 years back or something, about how they had some different, there were some other restaurants that I think they mentioned. Let me see if I can find the specific restaurants. I think maybe it's this article. Hold on. So I see our initial, so I see there was an original one. Let me pull that one up. 1 sec. So this was our original one. This was December 2022. Express Catering Limited. This is in Jamaica Observer. Express Catering Limited to widen its reach in Jamaica. So this would have been, that's almost 3 years ago. Well, yeah, hold on. What day is today? Yeah. It's like 3 years ago. So yeah, they said the chairman announced plans for the development and introduction of new food and beverage brands, new locations. What else they said? Focus Brands LLC is a company. US developer Food Service Brands. Auntie Anne's Pretzels and Cinnabon cinnamon rolls. So they're saying it would be facilitate catering to the general public at the Sangsters International Airport and passengers in the arrival area. They said, but said to be completed in the first quarter of next year. So that would have been 2023. So I guess there were some delays there. And then they said the new food and beverage offerings. Well, they're going to add Auntie Anne's Tasty Patties Cinnabon to the airport. I don't think this was the man that we were talking about doing it outside the airport. Or they said they're going to do a pilot in the airport first, and then they're going to roll out Auntie Anne's and Cinnabon outlets across Jamaica. Yeah. And the thing is that, I thought that was, would have been nice, I guess, if they had been able to do that. You say Auntie Anne's. I've never had Auntie Anne's pretzels before, but seems interesting. Like this one looks almost like a hot dog kind of something. Pretzel hot dog.
Oh.
And then there was this updated, I think this article maybe said, so this article was October 10th, 2025. So it would have been just pre-Melissa. Where does it say this? This, they said the 5 million US bet, massive investment, take ownership over a number of different brands, intention of rolling them out outside the airports. See? We said while he declined to name the specific brands in the current pipeline, well, you said some before, those haven't happened. So if I were to guess, it may be one of those, or at least one of those. And they said years in the making. We just saw 3 years ago. Well, how did they know? They say back in December 22, see developed locations. Yeah, this is let's say it here, Auntie Anne's Bakery Cinnabon. It's not clear if these are the same brands now being secured. We say we want to try at this point certainly 2, but probably 3. But I wonder if like this, it's interesting because I wonder if they own the assets of like the actual food court stuff and those are damaged by the hurricane, it would be them that has to pay, right? I'm guessing
Wait,
hopefully they'd have
repeat.
insurance for something like that. Okay, if their booths or restaurants
Mm-hmm.
were damaged by the hurricane, like how much of that damage do they have to cover versus the airport's owner?
Insurance.
Like I'm wondering what the I was also wondering like the arrangement that they have with the airport operator, like the yeah. Interesting.
Quite. Are we missing any stops by chance? I feel like we've spoken about most of the big ones. Yeah, I feel like those are the big ones, to be honest, because I don't know, man. Like for me, there are some winners and losers in this. Like I even as I was saying with Express Catering, like I think they'll bounce back very quickly because yes, there's a temporary dip in tourist arrivals, but I think tourism will come back very strong in the next few months. Dolphin Cove I think Dolphin Cove is probably the winner in my opinion for this episode, with a lot of the things that are going on and the port. And yes, they might sell Dolphin Cove, but same thing we spoke about in that previous episode is that such a bad thing? Like suppose the buyer suppose the buyer say, yo, I want to buy this for a decent price or so. Like there's so many things that could happen out of that. Like there's so many things, and I think they have to sell based on the laws in I think in Mexico. Based on the laws, I know they have to sell. Like there are different articles about it and so on. So like they can't own. There's like a ban on companies owning companies that operate with dolphins or certain animals or stuff like that. I need to find it and share it. Maybe we'll do another episode. When we do our stocks to watch, I'll probably talk about it for 2026. But yeah. What do you think? What do you think about this episode?
No, I think it's good. It shows that I definitely need to continue to do more, do some more research. There's a lot of other things I think, that I could continue to look up. I just think it's interesting. Like just always remember that, hey, sometimes just because something bad has happened to a company, it doesn't actually mean that it's that you should necessarily sell. Sometimes, for example, or that doesn't mean that you shouldn't buy it. Sometimes that actually is an opportunity to buy it, because depending on how bad you think the thing is, like, do you think it's something that is just like a temporary blip, or is it just gonna, or is it like is the company completely written off? Because a lot of these, as we said, like for example, Jamaica is heavily tourism dependent, so the government in some ways has to kind of push, because yes, you're going to want to diversify and move away from just being heavily reliant on tourism, but for now you already have all the infrastructure, you have all the money spent, you have all the companies, you have all of this. You can't just, a hurricane happens, let's just kill tourism and not manage tourism. It's like, hey, to get the money that you need to even build back Jamaica, you're gonna have to make money from tourism. So they're gonna put efforts, like if CPJ is like, hey, look at something like CPJ giving, guessing they pay tax or whatever, right? Or is it St. Lucia? I don't remember, but there's benefits to Jamaica. So it's like, hey, the government is gonna want the hotels to be full. They're gonna want the airports to open back up. They're gonna push for that because it's that's gonna help you. Just like if you are someone, you have an expense, like a life expense, and you have a job and you need a car to get to work. If the car breaks down, you're going to want to fix the car so that you can go to work, so you can get the money to do the other stuff. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Agreed. Guys, if you think there's a winner here in this bunch, don't listen to me and pick my winner, but like let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Would love to see, who is positioned to rebound fastest, who is better off in terms of like their current business model just for the long haul, right? Because we see some of them diversifying away from just tourism, right? So hey, there are a lot of good trends and deeper trends in and outside of tourism growth. And yeah, who is quietly turning this crisis into like a reset. But let us know. Always do your own research, as we say. And yeah, watch the earnings, watch the arrivals, and watch the ones the market forgets way too quickly. As we say, it could be a buying opportunity. Thank you guys so much for listening. And if you found it helpful, please smash that subscribe button. We need those subscribers up. We appreciate you all that have subscribed already. Thank you so much. And to the new subscribers, the ones that are just thinking about it, it's just a click, right? And if you like it, just like the video. Thank you so much, guys. And as always, stay limitless.
Peace.